The next one I wanted to touch on with you is the EMFs. And this has been a fascinating area for me to dive into over the last few years, just learning that it's not all tinfoil hat stuff. You know, when I first heard this, I'm like, yeah, EMFs, like whatever. And then you start to look at there is actual biological effects, even with EMFs at low frequencies, non-ionizing radiation. And these are all around us, right? Whether it's our Wi-Fi routers or this thing that I want to talk to you about, maybe this dirty electricity, faulty wiring, even microwaves and things like that. Help me understand how you paint the picture for people to understand the EMF story.
Yeah, and EMF, it seems like it's controversial, but really the debate on whether EMF is dangerous or not has been over for a long time. There's no debate on whether it's dangerous. We all know it's dangerous. Where the debate comes in is at what level is it dangerous, and for how long can we be exposed till it really affects our body? And that varies depending on how healthy you are, how big your body is, how strong the strength of the signal is, what the frequency is. These are all the debatable points. And so we're at the point now where we've never been exposed to this much EMF ever, like exponentially more than we have even 20 years ago. And so we're kind of guinea pigging on ourselves, like what is really going to happen when we're exposing ourselves to this much EMF? So from the studies that I've seen, it's very compelling to tell us that we need to limit this as much as possible, because it's inconclusive in a lot of these scenarios, because they don't have the long-term studies yet, because we haven't been exposed long enough. I don't want to be guinea pig. I don't want my kids to be guinea pig. And so until this stuff comes out for sure, one way or another, I'm going to take the precautionary approach. So I'm going to reduce my exposure as much as possible and reduce the exposure for my children, because I truly believe that that's what's going to be better for my health in the long run.
I feel the same, and I think it's sensible. The precautionary principle here definitely applies. We don't know. I think even just if you hadn't looked at any science or didn't really understand this, that it doesn't seem like the craziest ideas to me to think about, like, the Earth has a frequency. We know it has this resonance, the Schumann resonance, the Earth heartbeat. Like, animals use this as a kind of GPS system to navigate. And now we've stuck poles and antennas and all kinds of stuff all over the place. But bringing that inside of the homes, the obvious one being our Wi-Fi routers and Wi-Fi extenders and things like that. So when you think about this, precautionary principle, minimizing this as much as possible, what are the big things you're looking at? Is that Wi-Fi predominantly?
So the biggest one by far is our cell phone. And the reason is because it's with arm's reach almost 24/7, and it needs to get its signal all the way out to the closest cell tower, in which in some cases could be a mile, 5 miles if you live out in the country. And so that requires a pretty strong signal. So that right there is really our biggest exposure. Second would be the Wi-Fi that's around us. Think about how many times you pull out your phone where you don't have a Wi-Fi connection to something, work, restaurants, your home. There's always a Wi-Fi connection somewhere. So really those are the two big ones. And then third is going to be the electrical wire. And you touched on this earlier, the dirty electricity. That's the energies and the frequencies that are radiating off of the wiring that's through the walls in our building, of our homes and our work and our schools. So we're around that a lot of times as well. Even sleeping in our bed, we have the wiring right by our head. In fact, in my house, we turn the circuits off at night for us and our kids, so we don't get that exposure. But those are probably what I see as the three biggest sources of exposure that people are getting.
Okay, cool. I'm glad you mentioned the cell phone, because I think this is slipping through people's cracks a little bit, in the sense that they'll understand the Wi-Fi router. They might turn it off at night. They might have it on an outlet timer. They'll understand distance from it reduces the intensity of it. Yet then they pull out the phone and scroll social media for 2 hours every day, holding it or putting it in their pocket and not putting it on airplane mode and things like that. So obviously awareness is big here. Little habits will go a long way. I try to be super intentional. If that thing is in my pocket, it's on airplane mode. But, when I have to work or answer an email, have you come across anything that actually helps with the EMFs from the cell phone? Do these cases work? Are they a scam in your opinion? Are they legit? Which ones? That kind of stuff.
So cases actually can block some of the signal, but this is the thing. So phones are smart. They will vary their power depending on how far away you are from the nearest cell tower. So you pull out your phone and make a call, it'll send a quick ping out and says, oh, I got a cell tower a quarter mile away. I only need to be at 10% power. And it does that to save battery life. Okay, so you make that phone call, it's at 10% power. Now I put my phone in a shielded case that's going to block or attenuate that signal. So now when it sends that ping out, it says, oh, wait a minute, the signal's really weak. I need to boost my power up to get a solid signal. And in doing so, now you just made the problem worse, because you boosted that signal now to 100% when you didn't really need to do that. And so I've found with my measuring that a lot of those cases, it makes it worse because the phone's trying to overcome that blocking just to try to get that signal through.